I'm going through every book I read in January, and I read 4 books last month, which may not seem like a lot to some people, but I wanted to quickly talk about that because I feel like there is a lot of negativity, especially in the booktuber world. And I just want to say, if you are not a reader, if you haven't read anything last year or this year yet, that is totally fine. Just even reading 1 book in a year is more than most people do. I just want to encourage you, if you're new to reading, don't feel discouraged. I want to encourage the people who are currently not reading or maybe intimidated to start reading, because that was me in 2024. I did not like reading for so long in my life. And for some reason, 2024, I just started reading again because I had a job where I was bored and had nothing to do most of the time. And I just picked up a book and I started reading, and I haven't stopped since. And I'm so thankful that I did do that because I have read so many awesome books in the past year. So I just want to encourage people to just pick up a book, start reading. Sometimes it takes a while to find the style of book that you like, but you can do it. So anyway, that's my little side note before I get into what I read this month. But enough yapping, let's get into what I read in January. I think it was around maybe November or early December, I watched Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, and I absolutely loved it, and I had to pick up the book for myself and just read it. Even though the movie is quite different from the book, I feel like his version still just encapsulates the essence of the book, and the book is also so good. Even though they're pretty different, they're both so good. So I highly recommend, if you want like kind of a dark gothic emo sci-fi sort of vibe, this is so good. I will say it opens up with there is the captain of the ship that Victor Frankenstein ends up on, and the first few pages are his letters. I will say his letters are not the easiest thing to read at first, but it does get easier. It's kind of like that old English style of speaking that is not like the hardest thing to read, but it definitely takes a little bit more thinking than you probably normally would for a more contemporary book, because let's be real, we don't talk like this anymore. Even though it's beautiful and it's beautifully written, but we don't talk like that anymore. Sometimes they used to use words for stuff that like we just don't call things that anymore. So like I said, it takes a little bit more time, but it's so good. Such a great book. So just push past that. The first few letters I think are kind of hard, but then once you get through that, it's so much easier, and it's a pretty quick read. It's honestly not that long of a book. This version is like a little over 200 pages long, so it doesn't take long at all. And then the rest of my books, I don't have physical copies with me because I think I got them all from the library. But the second thing I read in January was a book called Heart the Lover by Lily King. And I really had no idea what this book was about going into it, which I kind of prefer not really knowing what books are about before I go into it. Like if people say it's a great book, then I'll just like go with it and see for myself whether or not I like it. That's just my style of reading, I guess. I like to just really go in blind to books. I don't know why, that's just the way I prefer to read. But like I said, I went into it not really knowing anything, and I actually really enjoyed it. It's an easy read again. I think it's like a little over 200 pages, but it follows these college students, specifically the girl who actually we don't know her name till the very end of the book. So sorry if I call her the girl because we don't know her name till the end, but I don't want to spoil it either. But it follows her kind of love story with this one guy she dates in college, and eventually they break up, but they reconnect as adults. And I just feel like the story is so relatable and real. I think that's what I liked the most about it, was that there wasn't really anything unbelievable or crazy that happens. It's all very like, this could have happened to me. It's a really sweet like coming of age love story, and sort of like a missed love connection. Like they loved each other, but maybe not in the right way or at the right time type of thing. I don't want to give too much away, but especially at the end, there's some medical things that go on, and the talk of like the hospital and experiencing a loved one in the hospital was like so real to me. It brought me back to experiences that I've had in the hospital with loved ones. So it was very real and just like a very sweet book. So I do highly recommend that. I feel like this almost could have been like fanfic or like an alternate reality for like Gilmore Girls when Rory goes off to Yale. Maybe I'm crazy, but it really felt like it could have been a storyline in Gilmore Girls. So also if you like Gilmore Girls, I don't know, maybe you'll like that the book too. It does feel like a book Rory would like. And the last 2 books I read in January were nonfiction. And the first one is Ejaculate Responsibly, which is about abortion and kind of the arguments for why abortion is a men's issue, because men are fertile 24/7 for their entire lives, unlike women. And it goes through arguments as to one, why it obviously should be legal, but also how we should approach sex ed with with people and how we should approach birth control with men and women as well. The book was like a little over 130 pages long, so it's a super easy read. It is, I would say my only gripe with it was that it's a little repetitive, but I feel like she's just trying to drive home her point. It's a really good book, easy read. I think everybody should read that. And last but not least, I listened to the audiobook version of 107 Days by Kamala Harris. And I don't know if it's just because of the state of the country we're currently in, but this book hit me harder than I thought it would. Even though the events that she's describing in the book happened over a year ago now, still I felt like I was transported right back to the election time and kind of how it felt. And it's crazy to think that she lost to what we currently have. So she does end on a very uplifting, happy note. However, if you're still a little raw from the election, I would say maybe put it off. I thought I was ready, and honestly, like I said, it hit me harder than I thought. So, but it is still a really good book. It's very interesting to kind of hear behind the scenes and how crazy those 107 days were. I think if you're interested in kind of the behind the scenes of politics and how things come together, it is very interesting. It's just crazy to hear about the pressure and the stress. Like, I can't imagine doing as much as she did in such a short period of time. But that was everything I read in January. So let me know in the comments what you read in January, and I'll see you next time.